Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hole in the Wall Theater and our production of Say Our Names. I do see Alyssa. It looks like you got in here. We can hear you on your microphone if you don't mind turning that off. That would be great. Thank you very much. Yes, so welcome to Say Our Names. Forgive us for the clumsiness of Zoom and everyone staying in the call. It's true what they say about live theater. You can expect anything, and unfortunately that's only more true when we have 30 people in one place in 30 different locations. So there's going to be a lot of maybe stray sounds today, some connection issues. There might be delays in switching over between people. We really appreciate your having patience with that. Some quick overviews about Zoom and how you can use it. In the top right, you'll see you can switch between speaker view and gallery view. Tonight, because we should only have one person showing video at a time, it shouldn't matter too much. Speaker view will give you one large screen, and gallery view will give you the two screens side by side. We are showing a lot of protest photos. I don't believe I'm on mute, Gabriel. It should be an issue on your side. I assume everyone else can hear me. Let's see. Yes, speaker view, gallery view. So we will have protest photos up and a couple other art pieces. Also in the top right, you should be able to switch which video is dominant in your screen. People can't hear me. Okay.
Some can hear you.
Some people can hear me and others can't. A lot of people are saying that they hear me. In the entire pre-show, it was fine. So Joe Murray popped up. Like I was saying, in live theater, you can expect anything at all. And it's only getting better. Yeah, like I said, don't worry about the speak view, gallery view option. You should be okay. Joe Murray, your video's on, just so you know. Okay, I am getting interrupted. I'm going to assume my video is fine because most people are saying they can hear me. So once again, forgive me for the mistakes. Forgive everyone else. Man, I don't know what to tell the people who can't hear me. Most people seem to be able to. Everyone before was having no trouble hearing me. Hopefully it will be the same for other speakers. I'm sorry, there are not closed captions available unless there's an option in Zoom for a robot to do it live streamed. Yeah, please check your own inputs and outputs on your computer for Zoom if you can't hear me. I'm going to assume if you can't hear me, you're not going to be able to hear anyone. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you may need to join audio in Zoom. And this is why I was talking about Zoom details first. Yeah, in the bottom left, there might be join audio. Your computer's volume might be down. Zoom may be muted for some reason. Unfortunately, I can't IT help everyone, so you'll have to bear with us while we get going. Okay, so like I said, the speaker view, gallery view thing shouldn't be that big an issue. Just know you have some UI options in your top right. More importantly, if you want to follow along with the show, the art that you're seeing and the people who are performing, the program is on our website. And I just sent it to everyone in chat. So you should be able to just click on that link and be taken to the program. If for whatever reason you don't have access to chat or you can't click the link, if you just go to our website, hitw.org, click on the show poster, there is a link there to view the program as well. You will notice there that there's information about all of the people who provided art. Arian Davey, who I see in the room, provided a lot of the protest photos. Valerie Morone provided the first painting that you're going to see. And someone on Instagram, Annie Cho, actually provided a piece as well. So you can see all that in the program, as well as the names of the performers. Also, you will find tickets there to donate, both to Hole in the Wall Theater, which we really appreciate. Our physical space has been closed since the beginning of COVID and is going to remain so for a while. So any donations you can give us while we're not doing work in the physical space is really, really helpful. And we also tonight are partnered with the New Britain Racial Justice Coalition, which a lot of the individual members of the theater have gotten involved in the wake of the George Floyd murder. And they're doing a lot of good things locally in New Britain with our own government and trying to address issues of policing in our city. So if you could donate to them, that would be great. And I'll speak a little more about that in intermission. So without further ado, I do think we can move right into the work here. And first up is Nzinga's Daughters. They're going to perform a rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And like I said, the painting is from Valerie Morone. It's called Black, Red, White, and Blue.
Dana Snow,
Kathy Bentley,
Allison Johnson,
Joanne James,
Gail Williams, and we're Nzinga's Daughters, women of song, story, and prose. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Bring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
More Than Matter, written and performed by Melanie Cox. To say that Black Lives Matter is just the beginning. Black lives must also be sacred. Black lives must be cared for and loved. Black lives must be protected.
Stop the Madness, written and performed by Frances McAlpine Sharp. Are you aware we are all from the very same place? Scientists and historians have proven there's only one human race. Africa is the original homeland of every person who inhabits this abundant earth. Go to your library and do your own research. The reason this information is so important for all of us to know is so we can start viewing each other as the kinfolk we really are and let the destructive hatred and racism go. You're killing me. We are biologically from the same family tree. This notion that being white is inherently better than being Black is ridiculous, unfounded, and totally off track. The original seed evolved on the continent of the Fertile Crescent of the Nile. Some folks stayed in parts of Africa forever, and others decided to travel thousands of miles. It was tough for many leaving their original home, going out exploring the rugged unknown. Their brothers and sisters in Africa were flourishing in many ways, making scientific discoveries and painting history on Earth's beautiful face. Nomads were escaping blizzards and rain, living in caves, protecting themselves from predators and unpredictable terrain. While making their way from their native land, travelers, features, and skin color started to slowly adapt to atmospheric changes experienced while crossing the extensive world map. As the different migrant groups settled in various places all throughout our world, civilizations grew, and pearls of acquired wisdom, coupled with their ancestral traits, helped the new countries flourish and shape their destinies and fates. Most of the newcomers stayed put. They felt established and secure. But some of the restless nomads developed international trade routes so wanted goods could be procured. This was fine until some greedy slackers started the old practice of capturing children, women, and men as they went back to African countries, enslaving their own ancestral kin. The villains had no doubts of the skills of their enslaved chosen ones, or they wouldn't have brought them across the rough waters to do the work they themselves should have done. This nonsense about Blacks being less than human was never accurately thought. It was just a part of the culprit's way to excuse their collective conscience for declaring their enslaved relative should be sold and bought. If slave capturers and owners really believed this in their own mind, would they rape the so-called animals, have them breastfeed their wives' babies, and keep some as concubines? Did they forget when slavery ended? Various ethnicities had helped build this country, and many of them were Black. And a lot of the work was done while enslaved Africans were getting lashed upon their backs. Slavery was declared to be over. We all are supposed to be treated the same. But obviously, this is not the case. When people of color are disproportionately killed, shot, abused, and detained, people who are also descendants of African soil, but evolution has turned their skin white, are guilty of the same crimes or misdemeanors, but are held in jail for not even one night. Patrollers kept enslaved people in line a long time ago, using extreme measures then to keep them under control. Equality for all is stated in the Constitution, but injustice and discrimination have prevailed with no resolution. It's time for Blacks, whites, and whatever colors you may need to come up with viable solutions. Black Lives Matter has recently been put to a tragic test because we don't know each other. Ignorance and greed has to be laid to rest. Now it's time to let go of excuses that are in truth holding our whole world back. And if all lives matter, it's impossible to exclude Blacks. We are all brothers and sisters in the eyes of history, science, and God. So let's stop all of this madness. From the convoluted path we trod, we are definitely headed for total destruction with all that's going on. Note that it is up to us together to make our world loving and strong. Each one teach one is what responsible people used to say. Well, don't you think it's about time to implement that suggestion here, starting now, today? It is time to unite in harmony. My long lost kin, thank God, love and truth can conquer all. My anticipated friends, peace.
White Man Learning, written and performed by Dennis Hull. I'm a 68-year-old white man who grew up in the town of Killingly in Windham County, the quiet corner. There were very few Black families in our little town, which had a population of about 16,000. Our graduating class of 212 in 1970 had one Black person. In our yearbook superlatives, she was best dancer. Insert your raised eyebrows here. It wasn't until I joined the Army in 1972 that I began to interact with a lot of Black people. It was an eye-opening experience. Looking back on it, I was bewildered and didn't know how to act in a way that didn't single me out as a racist tool. There was no overt racism taught in our family, so I found ways to communicate through humor and love of music and dancing. Soul Train taught me my dance moves, and just hanging around Black people and keeping my mouth shut made me feel more at ease socially. I never really thought about the internal societal mechanisms designed to keep Black people down. What has struck me over time is the fear that Black people have to deal with on a daily basis that white people never experience. Being pulled over for driving while Black. Having to be taught by your parents the ways you speak with a police officer so you don't get your ass kicked. It's embarrassing to be a white person in the United States and know that Black people have to deal with this bullshit. Personally, I need to educate myself more. Listening to my Black friends has opened up my eyes, and I have been directed to several resources to fill in the blanks so that I may have a more well-rounded view of life and history. I need to be part of the solution so that when I leave life, the world will be a better place for Black people to live and flourish, and the United States can finally live up to its creed. That is the essence of patriotism and citizenship to me. It's time to get to work.
Robert Ierardi, reading Erase the Hate by Alyssa Miller. Every day I watch the news that someone else was taken too soon. And for what? Because their tail light was out? Because they walked home alone? Because they looked suspicious? Because they matched another's description? Because they looked dangerous? Because it was the wrong apartment? Because it was said they used counterfeit money? Because they lost their house keys and crawled in a window? Because they had a dream? Because of skin color? And as I turn to comment, I hear others say, one less fugitive, one less problem, one less abusing the system. They shouldn't have resisted. They shouldn't have run. They brought it on themselves. And this feeling comes over me. Horror, disbelief, anger, rage, sadness. We make excuses to excuse these deaths, but excuse me for not following along. Now, riots in the streets, protests around the world, but it's still taken out of context. Look at how they're acting. This does nothing for their cause. For years, many tried demonstrations of peace, and though it worked in certain instances, gained attention throughout history, we've taken several steps back, allowing racism and prejudice, and more so, hate into our hearts and lives. It seems we've all forgotten a basic understanding called humanity. They scream in the streets, "Black Lives Matter." An echo rings back, "All lives matter." Of course, all lives matter, but some are under attack. So no, right here, right now, I stand with you. I recognize your struggle. I understand your sorrows. I know you matter.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheriece Blake, and I've written and I'm performing Love Has No Color. What is love? Love is complex. It is a mix of emotions, behaviors, and beliefs associated with strong feelings of affection, protectiveness, warmth, and respect for another person. Generations back, my ancestors went through racism with the judgment of the people of the world. For example, people giving rude stares. People always had their own opinions about my ancestors' children's skin color because it did not look the same as their own mothers. This happens a lot in interracial families that are usually mixed with 2 or 3 races. Even today, I am judged because the color of my daughter's skin is not the same as my own skin. People thought it was impossible to have a baby whose skin is lighter than my own. Then I thought to myself, is what my mother must have went through. In life, I've had different people from many different cultures and races as my friends. Being open to having diverse friendships is important because it teaches people that no matter who you are, that love has no color. People from different backgrounds and cultures should all have the right to be treated equally and should all have the same opportunities presented to us all. So to me, love has no color.
Breaking it down, a synopsis gleaned from Black Lives Matter for my white brothers and sisters by Maggie Green. How smoothly I've slid from writing COVID verses to writing about rising up. Deadly viruses have been killing people. Racism plays out everywhere. The wards are crowded, both the streets and hospitals. Black lives cry out, when will white privilege end? Can't we white people see that our indifference, our imposed poverty have become our legacy? If we don't wake up now, will it continue as it's always been? No, stop, shout, Black Lives Matter. But don't cry out, I can't breathe, because we can. Bow our heads, bend our knees, try to take it in. Realize we can't, but we can still be allies. We can have Black people's backs. Yes, we'll be imperfect, but it's our job to learn, to educate, to sit with our discomfort, to listen deeply, to refuse to shy away when feeling we're attacked. It's not about us, but we can start the conversation first within ourselves, then among ourselves. Let our Black sisters and brothers take the lead for a change. Then, when we have learned how to put our power and privilege to better use, take action.
The Blues, written by Stephanie Lynn and performed by Frances McAlpine Sharp. She cries tears of magnolia hearts, a sister with the blues, atrocities and devastations to the lives of her people make it feel like breathing underwater is easy to do. Years upon years of organized and monopolized oppression created the white for Black vision to include crime, poverty, and obsession. She regularly prays to her ancestors that leapt to freedom in the sea. She leans on her ancestors that worked the fields and took the beatings for wanting to be free. She prays to the deities the white man took away. Bravery and determination to rebuild herself from a slave. She sees her brothers dying by bullets that are flying aimlessly, taking souls home far too early by the shaking hand of a coward cop, unhinged and unworthy. She cries of rose thorns, a sister with the blue. Lies run the battleship from the inside out. She isn't sure what to do, how she can explain that Black lives matter too. A cry for help would be nice, but faith in humanity will have to suffice.
All right, the next one we have is pre-recorded from Ted Guhl all the way in Thailand. Ted, I do see you in here. Maybe you can say hi for the next one we have from you.
Jacob's sister. Jacob's sister is angry. Those who look like her, fathers, uncles, brother, brutalized, murdered. Jacob's sister is angry in Kenosha, Minneapolis, Memphis, Seattle, LA, Brooklyn, Atlanta. Jacob's sister is angry that they shot George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Nina Pop, Tony McDade. Jacob's sister is angry that her Black family is terrorized by police hired by white power. Jacob's sister is angry at a system, angry at apathy, angry at you and me, angry.
Rook, are you there?
Good evening. I'm Rookheim. This piece is entitled Cold Hard Numbers. Some numbers for your consideration. 27. The number of transgender American homicides in 2019. 27. The number of trans American homicides in the first 8 months of 2020 alone. 24. The number of those in 2020 who were trans women or trans femme. 20. The number of those in 2020 who were Black, Indigenous, people of color. Unknown. The number misgendered. Disappeared. Never reported. Unknowable. How many times likelier a Black trans woman is to die of violence versus a white cis woman. 27. Dominique Fells was 27 years old on June 9, 2020, the day her body was found on the banks of the Schuylkill River. Multiple stab wounds to her head and face, her legs cut off her body above the knee, unidentified and misgendered in a Philly morgue, who was an artist and a fashion designer and a daughter and sister and a human and just 27. Said activist Deja Alvarez. Racism is woven into the very fabric of this country. And if you are Black and transgender, in the eyes of most folks in this country, you are completely disposable. Say her name, Dominique Fells. 25. Rhea Milton was 25 years old on that same night of June 9, 2020, lured to a park by thieves. She fought back and was shot and left for dead. In March, she'd written, "Never been scared to struggle. I'ma get it eventually." Rhea, too, misgendered and dead named by the cops in death. Said her sister Ariel, also a trans woman, "It cost nothing to call me Ariel, to use she, her pronouns, to call her Rhea, to say she was my sister. It cost you nothing. Say her name, Rhea Milton." 2. The number of Black trans American women murdered in 24 hours on June 9, 2020, hundreds of miles apart, who never met but were sisters regardless. My sisters, your sisters, the horrors inflicted on any one of my Black siblings are inflicted on me and all of you. As one of my siblings tweeted, "My sisters deserve justice." Y'all love to talk about showing up, so show up for Dominique Fells and Rhea Milton. And more importantly, stop waiting till we are dead to love, pay, respect, cherish us. Stop killing us. Say their names. No more.
Yeah, so thank you again, everyone, for coming to say our names and spending time with us here and bringing more attention to this. We really appreciate it. Once again, here is a hyperlink to the program for all of the performers and the people who provided art. I especially want to give a special shout out to Valerie Morone, who provided the first painting you saw, red, black, white, and blue, and Arian Davey, who provided basically all of the protest photos that you're seeing, coupled with pieces. Thank you, Ariane. I see you in here as well. And again, that during Rook's piece, you saw a piece of art from Annie Cho, at Ann Chovy on Instagram. Other than that, I definitely want to thank Laurie Maria Cabral, who directed the show, got everyone here, has been rehearsing with people, put the order together. She's been working crazy hard, and it shows a lot, as well as the Day of Tears touring company that she works with. A lot of the performers that you've seen today are part of that company with her, and they have some overlap with our membership as well. So again, thank you for that. Most importantly, if you go to the program page, again, you can donate either to Hole in the Wall Theater and allow us to keep doing work both virtually and in person. Upcoming, we have a show called Scavenger, which is an original. We're actually filming it to stream at the end of October for Halloween. That's an original work written by one of our members. That's going to be a spooky video for you in the end of October. And we also just cast the play This Is Our Youth that is going to be going up in December 11th and 12th. So we're really excited about that. But even more importantly, yes, I'm sorry, the show is not over. This is intermission. It says on the program, if you're not following along, there is a lot more to come. I'm sorry if I made it sound like we were done. We absolutely are not. So please stay tuned. That's just the stuff coming up next. And also, again, on the program page, we do have a button there where you can donate to the New Britain Racial Justice Coalition. This coalition came into being in the wake of the protests after George Floyd's murder, and they've been working on these issues in the town government of New Britain, Connecticut. Currently, they're working on getting a civilian review board established there that when they proposed it and it was agreed to, was going to be civilian elected. And when they wrote the legislation, the police chief is now nominating one officer. I'm sorry, not an officer. The police chief nominates one member of the board, and the mayor nominates the rest, even though it was supposed to be Democratic. So they're trying to work on that legislation. They're also working on getting correctional officers out of New Britain High School, which is a thing and should stop. So they're trying to get that passed as well. And then other things, getting the Christopher Columbus statue moved, and all of the ways that these issues affect people in our local government. So please, the New Britain Racial Justice Coalition, follow them on Facebook, donate to them through the show program. We really appreciate it. I will link you the program again for those who have missed it. And yes, we do have the entire second act coming up, and we're going to start with Leslie Bivens. It's actually her birthday today, and she's spending it here with us. So thanks, Leslie. Again, thank you everyone for coming, bringing more attention to this issue. Thank you for donating to the theater and to make a difference in New Britain. We really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the second half of the show. Thank you.
This piece is called Sandra, written and performed by Leslie Bivens. 11 moons of White History Month, spoken in hushed whispers over designer coffee. Politically properly, you want me to say her name, but when I asked you to say her name, you just whisper hard speculations and thoughts of Black surrender, Black supplication to this entity, this rock that landed on us, that you make us carry like Sisyphus. You whisper, gesticulate, maybe she should have just complied. But Smokey the Bear said, only you can prevent forest fire, but she was in her car and smoking ain't illegal. But y'all started this forest fire, and we are no longer solitary trees falling in the forest that no one can hear. But still you let white might equal white right and off the hook for murder every day. I mean, only in these disunited states of America can a white kid murder and have it labeled a sickness. He has affluenza. Then surely white privilege must be a disease. But all my sister did was ask a question, yet you still want to say all lives matter? I can whisper her name too. I can shout it, scream it, and laugh in your face while you wear your Amazon Say Her Name shirt and put more money in the pockets of those who question things like why we Juneteenth and Black Eyed Peas and record every traffic stop. And all lives can matter loud as you want during the months of white history, but this time you have to wait. Chattel slavery is commodified slavery. It's where people have a price. They can be bought and sold. It's where you have a price on your head and your crown is worthless. But Sandra's price for living 28 short-lived lives, the price of her dying alone with nothing but concrete walls, pissy floors, and lies to keep her warm. And it's nothing short of horrible irony in a crystal clear explanation that this officer overseer can hide behind the number 12. It's the number of months in a year, hours on the clock face, and the number of members in a court jury. But it's also the number of cosmic order, and way more than 12 of thy faces have gone down, and that makes you out of order no matter what the jury says. And at night sometimes, when I hear another face like mine has been lost, I wonder, Sandra, have you seen Emmett? Did you tell him? Emmett, you can look now. They yelling our names. I didn't let you live alone just to be hanged alone. Sandra, have you seen Amadou Diallo? Did he give Trayvon that gun they say he had? Sandra, did you greet Brianna? Did you hold her hand while she walked to the light? Did you take her to meet Harriet? Did she say, sisters, you ain't gotta wear a white dress, 'cause white don't mean purity here. And why play harps when you can have drums? And it's a damn shame that injustice and fire and struggle and famine and fear become the tethers that keep us together. And we have to be bilingual and hate just to make it through a traffic stop. But Sandra didn't speak the language, and Eleanor Bumpers and Alberta Spruill weren't fluent in it neither, and they died because of it. And I don't have to say her name if I don't want to. I can just write it on the line when they ask mine. My name is her name, and his name, and their names, and all the way back to the motherland. Every beat of my heart is me crying her name. Come home, Sandra Bland. Come home. It's the whisper on the wind. Sandra Bland, where you gone, Sandra Bland? 'Cause it is night, and it ain't safe for decent folks. Don't roll your window down, or open the door, or even eat Skittles after dawn. But in all honesty, no matter what they do, ain't a jail cell in creation strong enough to confine you. Information is the real currency, and Sandra, you made us all the richer, and they just try to make us poor. But I love you, Sandra, and love never makes us poor. Love you, gingerbread mom, more than thirsty grass does morning dew, because your black face is mine, and without you, I'd be nothing and own a sky of sleep, and not even revolutionary dreams could wish me you. Now you rest with angels of brown, and everything is everything, and y'all dance up there with soft affirmations, trying not to wake up the sun.
Statue of Liberty, written and performed by Jacqueline Davis. Liberty, that's what it was supposed to represent. But they lied to the world when it came to me. I was property, baby maker, invisible. That's what this new world saw whilst they violated me. France erected a statue to commemorate America's commitment to universal liberty as a gift to the USA. Its purpose was to welcome survivors fleeing from unjust governments with an inherent promise that they could forget their past. This is a brand new day. This was supposed to afford all an opportunity to start over in unity. It held a torch high as a beacon welcoming weary escapees across vast oceans to the land of the free. It was free to all except those who looked like me. I was cleansed of my history, language, and cultural traditions. They tried to scrub me out of existence. They trampled on my senses as they tried to beat the me out of me. This only made me more determined to break free from their insanity. If we stepped out of line, our lives were extinguished easily. Who cares about 3/4 of a human when we were considered invaluable property? They hate the color of my skin, the hair on my head. If I style it traditionally, they'd rather see me dead. They can't stand the rhythm of my sway as I make my way down the street. Their eyes turn cold if by chance our eyes should meet. They dislike the song in my physicality, which causes a commotion wherever I go. My curves moves them to sudden anger. For what reason? I don't know. What they fail to realize is this world isn't theirs alone. It belongs to all of us. I'm determined to teach them that Black lives matter. It's not a question, it's a fact. Our lives are not theirs to extinguish. It's ours to do whatever we determine, wherever we decide to go. I'll keep on demonstrating in these streets until the laws of this land finally reflect that in these many ways: corporate, economic, educational, employment, healthcare, housing, policing, political, social, and racial equality. These things are important to us each and every day. So we'll march and march until we're included in every way.
Hi, this is Getting Woke, written and performed by Beth Gibbs. Getting woke means becoming aware about racism and social injustice. Getting woke is being clear about what you think, how you feel, and what you do about these issues. Getting woke is what many of us are doing as issues of racism and social justice scream from the headlines, along with the pandemic and political division. And why should folks get woke? Well, that's easy. Our country's lofty values of equality, democracy, and opportunity for all, well, they live side by side with the pre-existing condition that we've suffered from for centuries: systemic racism and prejudice. The latest example is the public murder of George Floyd that we witnessed in real time on our digital devices. So what keeps folks from getting woke? It's implicit bias, the deeply held unconscious and subconscious attitudes, beliefs, or stereotypes that affect how we see, understand, and react to what happens in our lives, our communities, our world. Implicit bias allows us to deny what is in front of our eyes because what we see doesn't necessarily align with what we say or do publicly. So how can folks get woke? Well, getting woke will require a deep healing of our mental landscape. When we accept the fact and the truth of America's dis-ease, we can start the healing process within ourselves to punch through denial and bring clarity to our personal blind spots, prejudices, and implicit biases, because we all have them. Then we can face it, trace it, embrace it, and replace it. Here's how. Face it. Sometimes we need to take a step back and examine the presence of equity, diversity, and inclusion in our own lives. How diverse are our schools, our neighborhoods, our places of work, friends, social settings? And if they are not, we need to ask ourselves, why? Then trace it. Understand how and why we may be ignoring or denying the reality of racism and social injustice. What are the implicit biases that feed our denial? And where did they come from? Then embrace it. Accept that what America is facing now is disturbing unpleasant, and upsetting. And all of us are going to need to sit for a while in the fire of discomfort because this is our current reality. And then replace it. That means consciously take skillful action in whatever form you choose. Getting woke is what all of us must do to help our country heal and live up to its promise of life, liberty, and justice for all.
Letter to my unborn son, written by Stephanie Lynn, performed by Frances McAlpine Sharp. I've cried so many tears. Child, if you only knew, I don't sleep at night, and I march these streets day by day to make the world a little safer for you. America says you were born a crime. I say you were born a dreamer, one that will work 10 times harder just to succeed here. A system built for you to become a failure at all costs. I'll waste no more time being dismissive, ignoring common ways and assisting the oppressors with their trickery, blindly contributing to your loss. Baby, the whole world can hear us now. Do you see? There on the big screen, they hear our cries and pleas. No more knees on our necks. I can't breathe. Black Lives Matter. Son, I will die protecting you from a nation that's long abused its authority. Our ancestors are powerful. We are born to tell their stories. They may follow you with their canines. They may look you up and down in cowardice and fear. But baby boy, your brown skin is golden, and much needed change is finally here.
Y3 by Ed Richters. 3. Why 3? Why 3 times? My son was accosted by several young men of color, apparently ranging in ages from 14 to 18. He was waiting at his bus stop. They knocked off his glasses, took his phone, and took flight. 3. Why 3? Why 3 times? Big thank you to my neighbors for jumping to the rescue, preventing further torment. My son was shaken, but not broken. We got him a new phone, and the cops called for an interview. 3. Why 3? Why 3 times? 2 different times he looked through binders of young black faces. It had happened suddenly, and his glasses got knocked off. He saw nobody, and we politely said goodbye. But then a week went by, and a call came from the detective asking for a 3rd interview to review another binder likely filled with the faces of young black men as before, despite the fact that it had happened suddenly and his glasses got knocked off. So why 3? Why 3 times? 2 different times my son, with no reason to lie one way or the other, had acquitted 2 binders of young men. 2 different times, my son did his civic duty despite having to relive traumatic events before they'd even had a chance to cool. And now they wanted a 3rd interview when finally we'd been able to put an inch of distance between us and the event. So why 3? Why 3 times? What good would it do to re-victimize my son in the hopes that some literally fuzzy memory would withstand open court? What if he'd picked someone? It could ruin that kid's life or even get them killed. For what? To burden my conscience and make my son complicit to what from all accounts looks to be shoddy justice? To mark some case file solved with the lives of young people of color who have themselves been victimized by no less than society itself? At first, I was open to the idea of a 3rd interview. And then I started to wonder about it. And soon I was upset. I was plagued with numbers, weights, and divisions. 3. Why 3? Why 3 times? I never called back.
Campfire of Liberation, written and performed by Liston Fillion. When confusion, sadness, and gloom fills every space in my lonely room, somehow I can always find a song to sing. Mass confusion fills the air, buildings burning everywhere. Fist held high, voices cry out, demanding to be heard as we move about. It's got to stop the killing of our kind. We will march these streets and hold our signs. Our lives matter. We're here, can't you see? And we won't stop fighting until we all are free. As we march forward, fighting for our rights, we will all stay here until we win this fight. The battle's not over. We must press on. Standing together keeps us strong. Now, once our lives are valued and respected, and racism is finally rejected, we can then gather around the campfire. When oneness exists and love transpires, where there is love, joy, and peace, as hatred and bigotry has deceased, we can then surrender ourselves to the universal call, hearkening to that inner voice that unites us all, of loving one another from all walks of life, being at peace without effort, struggle, or strife. Sitting around the campfire as the eternal flames burn, where the spiritual radiance of our souls forever yearn. As fire represents a cleansing, a state of purification for the formation of a new foundation. On this occasion, we spend our vacation with a celebration and a new vibration. Let us find a new aspiration in our celebration of a new adaptation around the campfire of liberation.
I'm Jo Marie Popolo, and this is Rapunzel Revisited by Sue Smallridge. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful child named Rapunzel who lived in a city. Her family wanted to provide a perfect and safe life for their child, so they lived in a penthouse apartment, and Rapunzel was never allowed to leave the penthouse. For a while, she was happy in her secluded white world, where everything her parents valued was provided for her. As time went on, she began to ask questions about the world, but never received answers that satisfied her. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, what do you need?" asked her tutor. "I need to know about the outside world," she replied. So her tutor snuck in books with pictures of people who didn't look like Rapunzel. She saw the beauty of Blacks, Asians, Middle Eastern people, Native Americans, and Latinx. Rapunzel reveled in these pictures for a while, but soon grew dissatisfied again. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, what do you need?" asked the tutor, eager to keep Rapunzel satisfied and keep his job. "I need to hear the voices of the world," answered Rapunzel. So the tutor provided music and words of the people represented in the pictures that Rapunzel had so eagerly embraced. Rapunzel danced to the music and listened to the podcasts and conversations of people who were not descendants of white Europeans, and she felt invigorated by the diversity. Rapunzel now made demands of her teacher. "I want to smell the spices and eat the foods of these people who do not look like me." Her reluctant tutor brought in a spice master who shared the fragrances of turmeric, cardamom, and many more. The tutor relented even more and brought in a chef who prepared foods of many cultures and told Rapunzel accurate stories about the people who ate them daily. Rapunzel was thrilled with the knowledge. She had one more desire, but did not ask it or demand it of her quivering tutor. She wanted to meet the people of the world and devised a plan that would allow her to go out at least 3 times a week from the penthouse with her aunt. Rapunzel traveled to many neighborhoods and had many wonderful interactions with the people of the city. She also had questions. Why do so many people live in such small spaces? Why are the schools so run down? Why are jobs scarce? And why are the wonderful people of the world suspicious of each other? "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, what do you need?" asked her confused and frustrated parents. "I need to leave," stated Rapunzel. "I need to be aware of others. I need to respect others. And I need to love others." And she did. She went to college instead of studying at home, observed racism in others, and confronted the racism that she had learned in the penthouse. Rapunzel discovered the racist policies that had been put in place in her country, and she vowed to help change those policies, and she did. Rapunzel saved herself from the limited life in her penthouse. Her journey was challenging and sad, as well as joyful and fulfilling. Rapunzel visited her parents at the penthouse, but never went back there to live. She explained it to them in these words: "Once you begin to know, you can never go back again." The end and the beginning.
Hi, my name is Teresa Harris, and I will be performing We've Come a Long Way, written by Teresa Harris. I remember the time a long time ago. The only job I could get was washing other folk clothes. We've come a long way. I thank the Lord. Yes, I remember the time when I would watch TV. I didn't see nobody else that looked like me except a slave, a maid, or a tall, skinny butler. Yes, I remember the time that if I needed a ride, had to get on the back of the bus, or they would skin my hide. We've come a long way. I thank the Lord. As I stood in the voting line on Super Tuesday, waiting to vote for Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, it brought tears to my eyes as I thought of the lives that were lost, both black and white, that I might have the right to stand in this line. The lady gave me my voting paper. I filled in my little dot, placed my paper in the slot. I had no fear when I left there that I'd be beaten or shot. You know, I remember back in the day, there were signs all over the place, even on the water fountains. Whites drink here, blacks drink there. Don't mix it up, gal, don't you dare. And if that black person fell in love with that white person, you better not tell nobody. You get run out of town. And mommies and daddies taught their little black children, when you're speaking to the white man, stare at the ground. Don't look him in his eyes because you don't want to die. And then my people got to the place when they said, we have had enough. And they began to fight for their rights and the rights of their children and grandchildren. And oh, who can forget Dr. Martin Luther King? He had a dream he was willing to die for. A dream that we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. But can you believe it's 50 plus years later? And we're still marching to prove that black lives do matter.
What We All Want by Keith Nelson, read by Rick Anderson. We have a systemic problem in our nation. Whether it was born of fear or hate, the problem has created oppression in our nation that has gone on far too long. We live in a nation where all people are stated to be created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we have failed our oath. Something went horribly wrong, but how and what can we change? I do know, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Or as Julius Lester wrote, I had not given a thought to what a difference it can make when you treat another person with simple respect and dignity, the same respect and dignity you want for yourself. That is so simple, and yet so few seem able to do it. Some may protest that they themselves do not carry the sins of society's most racist members. But at its best, Black Lives Matter isn't enough to cure racism, because racism isn't just skin deep. Its ugliness is bad to the bone. I don't have an answer. I ask all my brothers and sisters to help me see, why is this so hard? Why can we not see beyond the colors of our skins when we all want the same thing, to love and be loved? All I can do is treat everyone, no matter what our differences, with love and respect. I just don't understand why we all cannot do this.
Too Much, Nothing at All. Written and performed by Brooke Ferguson. Today, I received an educational email from Ben & Jerry's Woke AF chunk mail. And while the news therein was less than sweet, it offered a better code than for treats. 1619, it says, the first slaves sold in Virginia. With blood and dirt shoved under their fingers, back baking in this otherworldly sun, they built vessels of government of which they'd never run. Justice gladly put on a blindfold herself. Now this fact led to more, to an historical delve. I now know too much and not to heed. The old familiar song you hear on the hot summer days of yesteryear, the siren song that with a Pavlovian salivation lures you toward the saccharine sedation, rushes you toward your closest dollar in the hope that this treat is not far from your holler. Oh, the sweet delight of good humor fresh out of the truck, this anthem of summertime, of delight and of luck, this catchy jingle once bore lyrics to humanity's Armageddon, man's ice cream watermelon. Once more, Dixieland looked away. I know too much and nothing at all. Down the rabbit hole I continued to fall. Next, the braids and lips of the minstrel show, the jolly parading of old Jim Crow. We at the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, I will never look at Bing Crosby the same again. Nor Judy Garland, her forget those white male Civil War jacks who used cork as a weapon of silencing blacks while frolicking in summertime plantation pastures. Did they know would I could electrocute the interlocutor, send Daddy Rice, Stephen Foster through an incinerator, crush the Mastodon minstrels with the weight of human bondage, chain their hearts to ship bowels and rot the hostage. What's Southern Post with a dozen white men, blue eyes piercing the sepia? In a midnight forest did a great oak rise, a hanging shadow at their shoulders, the fruit of their lynched prize. Dead eyes pleading to heaven above, stop my suffering, sweet Jesus, send me your love. But the Lord wasn't there. His gaze met by a chariot. His body just swing low, chariot, for nobody came to the white hellions getting Cheshirely bigger. Look what we've done, Ma. We've killed us. Could you imagine the audacity in people's empty hearts to not only commit the act, photograph, print, and sell it over parts of our country in stores at the 5 and dime? Purchase this man's soul for a nickel and a rhyme? Slap a stamp on his grave? Steal his soul's energy, and with a summary with a message of greetings. Love from Mississippi. Dixieland, look away. Oh, look away, Dixie. Now I know too much and nothing at all. These facts and figures continue to appall. The ice cream store went on to state that while Black is 13% of our nation, they're 40% of the prison population. Systemic proof of racism going strong. Whoever said emancipation freed was wrong. This news empties my heart, sucks it inward from a vacuum of oppression and refusal to forward. This can't happen anymore. This should never have happened. You can't look away anymore, Dixieland. Be uncomfortable. Learn from this. Be better humans. Black Lives Matter. I really need you to know this.
You gotta push it.
Continue this talk. The dark, gritty truth that bred centuries of misery. Now we know so much, and still nothing at all. Funny how an ice cream store was the wake-up call.
Deborah Wilson, reading Diversity. I reread a quote that is one of my favorite Native American proverbs. No tree has branches so foolish as to fight amongst themselves. Funny how nature has so many wonderful teachings if we would look and listen. No tree has branches so foolish as to fight amongst themselves. How can harmony come so easily to maples, oaks, pines, birches, sycamores, flowers and ferns, birds, bugs, butterflies and dragonflies, but we have such a hard time giving it a go? I recognize we humans have done many wonderful things during our lives, but getting along peacefully, that just seems to be one arduous mountain we literally keep killing ourselves upon. Which brings me to quilts. What masterpieces these inanimate pieces of cloth are. Often mismatched, incongruent fabrics stitched together, and the result? A synthesis of raw beauty with different patterns. A madras plaid holding hands with a polka dot, holding hands with a stripe. Different sizes, shapes, patterns, and pieces, just laying together. Should we hold quilting classes for humanity? Will a stitch in time save lives? Can we come to appreciate on a grander scale the beauty of stories different than our own, or the colors of skin not matching ours? Tuning into a symphony of different accents, seeing the artistry of different styles, textures, and colors of hair. If we don't choose to partake in collectively making a physical quilt, how about a powerfully energetic one, where we catch ourselves with spiritual needle in hand, using our words to help, not hurt, engaging our minds to understand, not judge, and using our hearts to love, not hate. I just might take up quilting.
Okay, and up next we have another pre-recorded segment from Guhl all the way in Thailand. Oh, there he is. Hi, Ted.
Hi. Did you want me to introduce this?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, good morning. Good morning, America, from halfway around the world. Being here for the last 8 years has given me a slightly different perspective on the problems that are going on in my home. And all I can say is that the kinds of problems we all are facing everywhere are endemic in our systems. They're based in our ideas. And whenever anything, whether it's money or power or whatever it may be, has greater value than a human being, that's systemic racism, that's systemic corruption. And that's what we're up against everywhere. There are 1.5 million people in concentration camps in China right now because they're different from the majority population. But that idea is promoted by a system that separates them because they're poor, because they're different color skin, for whatever reason. The system devalues them, devalues humanity. Okay, enough of that. By the way, I'm very proud of the Hole in the Wall. This is neighborhood theater. I love it. You can run my video?
Yes, sir. Thanks for that. It's beautiful.
Homo veracitas. A man lies gasping on the street, knowing he'd soon be dead. I can't breathe. I can't breathe, Mama, is what he said. And all around are children, black, brown, yellow, white. I'm hungry, Mama, they cry in the night. And outside, by a river, birds lie on polluted soil, struggling to sound distress from throats choked with oil. While beings in white linen suits fly here and there and ponder how to make a greater profit before the world goes under.
They lynched a black man today, written by Stephanie Lynn, performed by Leslie Benz. They lynched a black man today, and they did it for all to see, just to prove the point that the roots of supremacy still has us by our necks. We are sick and tired of being beat and denied and manipulated and silenced and shut out and locked up, and nothing has changed. They lynched a black man today, and the whole world got to see what we've been telling them for years and years. We even got down on our knees, but they wouldn't have it. No, they burned sports jerseys and shoes out of anger and told us to suck up our tears. They lynched a black man today, and we all watched painfully the soul leave the body of an innocent man. He cried out for his mama, and now our mamas are crying out for him. It struck a nerve deep in our roots, and wouldn't you know, now white folks see we've been telling the truth. They lynched a black man today, and I'm afraid the fires will burn out and the signs will come down, and that people will forget about the injustices towards the black and the brown. Just remember the photos from your history books. A man of many hanging from a tree. They lynched a black man today. That could have been me.
Say Our Names by Rosemary Beskind. If all lives matter, why didn't theirs? Say their names. Saying a person's name is the gateway to that person's story. A name personalizes. A name humanizes. A name removes the tendency to be merely a statistic. A name shows respect to the family. A name validates a person's being. Say our names.
revolution. Got a lot of talk but no real solution. When you're white and you're poor, you don't have a say. When you're black and you're poor, you live in fear every day. Enough's enough, makes me wanna scream. I don't think this was the future, a Dr. King's dream. I wrote these lyrics down in 2017. Makes me wanna scream, makes me wanna scream.
It's an uphill battle, but we gotta try. We're all in this together, no one gets out alive. It's an uphill battle just to survive. Take a step together, no one gets out alive.
More mass shootings making you numb. Still they say don't take our guns. Come on, man, ain't nobody stealing your rights. You don't need an AK-47 just to sleep at night. All lives matter, I guess that's true. Only black lives taken when you turn on the news. Every night another victim shot and killed, while old men argue on Capitol Hill. Old men argue on Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill.
It's an uphill battle, but we gotta try. We're all in this together, no one gets out alive. It's an uphill battle just to survive. Take a step together, no one gets out alive. We must resist, we can learn to coexist. We must resist, we will not be dismissed. We must resist, we can learn to coexist. We must resist, we will not be dismissed.
Some kids are born into a world without choices. That doesn't mean they should have silent voices. They didn't ask to be born to a world that lacked the ability to distinguish between fake news and facts. So go ahead and put your finger at me as I put my fist up and get down on one knee and exercise my First Amendment right to speak free while we kneel arm in solidarity. Arm in solidarity. Solidarity. Solidarity.
It's an uphill battle, but we gotta try. We're all in this together, no one gets out alive. It's an uphill battle just to survive. Take a step together, no one gets out alive. We must resist, we can learn to coexist. We must resist, we will not be dismissed. We must.
We all gotta work together.
We can learn to coexist. We must
For our future.
resist. We will not be dismissed. We must resist. We can learn to coexist. We must resist. We will not be dismissed.
So again, everyone, thank you for coming to say our names. That is the last piece. Thank you, Mike Youngden, Jan Youngden. He goes by both. He's here. And again, here's a link to the program for all of the performers. I'll send it again, this text, and give you another chance to donate to Hole in the Wall Theater, to donate to the New Britain Racial Justice Coalition. Laurie and I originally talked about trying to do this in person. Obviously, with all the pandemic stuff, that's not possible. But in the future, we do hope to do this again. The recording of this performance will be going up on YouTube in the next week or two. And like I said, I mean, bringing visibility to this issue is not going to stop being a problem. So the theater hopes to continue doing it. Thank you to Laurie Maria Cabral for putting this all together. Absolutely amazing. Thank you to all of the performers who shared their brilliance with us. We really appreciate it. And like I said, we think because of the nature of this show and performers can kind of be switched in and out, we think we're going to try and keep this going forward and do it a lot more. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you everyone for performing. I might keep the room open for 10-15 minutes if people want to chat and just hang out for a bit, but then it will probably close down. So thank you everyone for the kind words and for attending, and have a good night.